Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, Mike Beer for Weekend Wrap, a special Weekend Wrap because we're going to look at the $12 million Pegasus World Cup Invitational, the rematch between two-time Horse of the Year California Chrome and Breeders' Cup Classic winner Arrogate. Now before we break from the gate, I want to remind everybody, Arrogate breaking from the inside post, California Chrome breaking from the far outside post. They break from the gate, both jockeys understandably aggressive.
Yeah, Mike Smith sends Arrogate early on. He did what he needed to do, secure that nice sort of pocket position. Meanwhile, you got Victor on the outside. He had no choice but to go, and I have to be honest, at this stage, I don't think you could be that complaining.
I mean, he got hung up on the outside through the first turn, but he is able to get himself right up there over towards, he's not, right over to the inside, but he's 3 wide here. It's not a terrible position. He did have to be used from the gate. The real story of this race is just that California Chrome, this isn't the California Chrome that we've seen through 28 or 27 some odd starts, and it is the Arrogate we've seen the last few times.
He didn't seem comfortable, California Chrome, pretty much as they had midway down the backstretch, and after the race it was revealed a little bit of an injury. He's retired to stud anyway. Noble Bird up front, occasionally when he gets an easy lead, is able to run a big race. The problem, Mike, is that Neolithic, the Todd Pletcher trainee, is grabbing the bridle right now and is really forcing him through the second and third quarter.
Yeah, he didn't get an easy lead in this race. They went fast up there. Neolithic pushing the pace. Arrogate's keeping right up beside it. Neolithic's he's going to sort of wrest control of the lead here from Noble Bird, but I mean, at this point, Arrogate's right on top of him because California Chrome, he didn't have enough to keep this horse locked in the box. This was going to be a pretty interesting race up the backstretch.
No relief for Neolithic, who made the front put away Noble Bird, but is immediately set upon by Arrogate. The race is over.
Yeah, Neolithic, I think, ran a giant race, all things considered, but with Arrogate, the most fascinating thing about him is he has that positional speed, he can stay there, and he's going to finish better than anyone else, no matter what the distance is. He's geared down here at the end.
Shaman Ghost, a really rock-solid horse for Jimmy Jerkins, is going to move into second. He got a nice pace setup, he got a nice trip, but he's just not within hailing distance of Arrogate at the wire, Mike, and there's no telling how good this horse is.
He finishes pretty well, though, Shaman. I mean, listen, he finished well with a really good trip and a really good setup, but it was a nice run through the stretch that he made. It's a pretty good horse. He looked like he was heading that way towards the end of last year. And again, we talked about it in the stakes preview. He didn't get to make it into the Breeders' Cup. Things weren't going great for him at the very end of last year. But he looks like a horse with some potential down the road.
116 buyer speed figure for Arrogate, and much was made, especially over social media. He had a little foot abscess. They were worried that it might develop into a full-blown quarter crack. If he runs well like that on 3.5 feet, we saw what he did in the Breeders' Cup Classic. This horse is scary good because he also has that combination of tactical speed, acceleration, and stamina.
That is the thing. I mean, if he can start with where the pace setters are, you know he's going to finish, whereas some of these other pace setters, like we saw with the Noble Bird, is going to finish up the track. I mean, that makes him, I don't want to say unbeatable, because there's no such thing, but boy, that makes him incredibly difficult. And right now that California Chrome is gone, there's really no one in his area code.
No, right now, no one in his area code. #1 horse in North America. Favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic right now. And of course, the question the racing fans are waiting for is what's next. You'd run him in everything. Baffert's going to be a little bit more patient.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The way they're talking, it sounds like unfortunately, we're not going to see him too much this year. You're right. If it was me, I would run him in everything. But that's what good horses are supposed to do.
But you work backwards from the Classic, and it appears that it'll be 1 race maybe before the Classic, maybe 2.
2, it'd be interesting to see ultimately, because if you end up going, let's just say the Pacific Classic is your interim goal, you're probably going to want to get 1 prep into him. That's like a 6-7 month layoff. I would imagine maybe the San Diego and then the Pacific Classic and ultimately the Breeders' Cup.
Now, as for California Chrome, not the way he wanted to go out, obviously, but if you look back on his career, this is a remarkable racehorse in that he was precocious. I think he was running in April or May as a 2-year-old on that old synthetic track at Hollywood. Then he won the Derby and the Preakness, a Grade 1 winner on turf, a lot of people are going to forget, winner of the Dubai World Cup, dominant handicap horse in 2016. This is a horse because he's stuck in between American Pharaoh and Arrogate. History might forget about him a little bit. They shouldn't. He's just a really nice horse.
He had a great career, and it was a long career, and they got a lot of racing out of him, all the things that you like to see from good horses. It's really a shame that he had to go out this way, especially in a race that was sort of built as this big matchup between these two horses, and it never really got to materialize in the Pegasus World Cup. It's a shame, but this horse, take nothing away from him, he had a great career.
He certainly did, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer when the time comes. And like you say, unfortunately for him and the connections, you get lost in between the two big horses. You get lost between American Pharaoh, you get lost between Arrogate. Look, there's no shame in losing to Arrowgate. This looks like he's a horse that could be a once in a, you name how many years. I believe Jay Privman mentioned it. This is the first horse since Ghost Sapper to run 3 consecutive 116-plus buyers. This horse did all 3 of them routing in the matter of, 6 months?
And just consider he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
To win the Travers. Baffert knew he was good.
Yeah.
The word on the street was that he was pretty good, but no one knew who he was in mainstream racing going into the Travers, which is the end of August.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, just take a look. Travers, Breeders' Cup Classic, Pegasus World Cup, you saw the earnings. It's remarkable what this horse has done in just a short amount of time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the earnings don't really mean anything. When they're running $12 million races now, who cares what his earnings are? He's obviously a uncommon talent. I mean, he's really good. There's really no. The thing is, there's really no telling how good he could be. Aren't you just dying to find out? I hate that these guys. He's worth too much money. They don't really want to find out how good he could be.
Let's get back to Shaman Ghost real quick. Jimmy Jerkins had to be really excited with this effort because Shaman Ghost has a nice little resume in his own right. I believe he's a Queen's Play winner. He won the Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He won the Woodward. And he, unfortunately, towards the end of last year, things didn't really work out for him. He was going to run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He got sick or had some problems leading up to that race. But you know that when this horse is good, he is a top-tier handicap horse that just happens to be in a division with Arrogate.
Yeah, I think both of the second, third finishers both ran great in this race. I mean, they can't go with Arrogate. It's just not going to happen. They both ran really well. Neolithic, I was very interested to see what he would do in this race, especially the way the pace set up for him. I thought he ran great.
He did run great because that pace was really fast. You and I were talking about it on DRF Live. I mean, 6 furlongs, 9 and 4, mile 33 and 4, and he is just up and on that pace. And there's no disgrace in him getting tired at the end. Where do you think he fits? And hopefully he comes out of this race, safe and sound and feeling good because he's lightly raced. Because I think you might like him at slightly shorter distances.
I don't know what they plan on doing with him, and it sounds like Todd Pletcher says everything is in consideration for him. Dubai even. I would like to see him turn back to a one-turn mile. I think the Met Mile would be tremendous for him. He's got enough early speed. He can finish. He's got the bottom there. I think that would be a very interesting spot for him. He's a little bit early with the lead change. It bothered me a hair, but at the end of the day, he ran as fast as he did. I'm not going to hold that against him. Shaman Ghost, it's the one thing I would just throw up a bit of a cautious sort of note, is that final 16th, he popped to his left lead, and that was it. He's been goofy in the past with his lead changes. He's going to need to iron that out, I think, if we really want to consider him a top-level Grade 1 caliber runner. He can win those races, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to have to do a little bit better, a lot better, if he's going to be anywhere near this horse.
But I would expect that's where we would see him. Races like maybe the Suburban, or certainly races at Saratoga, the Whitney Woodward Double, the Jockey Club Gold Cup. I'm assuming if Jimmy Jerkins was mapping out the plan to the Breeders' Cup Classic, it's anywhere Arrogate isn't, and that'll probably be the East Coast.
That'll be the East Coast. The good thing about Shaman Ghost is distance is no problem. He's another one who will just go as far as you want him to go. So that's an advantage for him. I agree with Matt. I'd like to see Neolithic maybe cut back and try for the Met Mile, but we'll see what they do. I'll also be interested to see if he is the Gulfstream Neolithic somewhere else.
Right.
That's a very good point because Todd is fantastic everywhere. We know that about 25% every 40 at Gulfstream. The horses just seem to move up and improve 2-3 lengths. Another horse that might be Dubai bound is Keen Ice. Why not? At the end of the day, Keen Ice is always going to be remembered for that one moment in a summer afternoon at Saratoga where he upended American Pharaoh. Here he just couldn't keep up early. They went supersonic early. Javier tried to keep this horse in the race. He was out-sprinted. He was never going to win this race. He ran on a little bit, as he always does at the end, down towards the inside. I guess you take a shot in Dubai, although he did run very poorly there last year.
Yeah, I was surprised as how poorly he ran there last year, but he could do better than that. The mile and a quarter, I think, will obviously help him of that race. The mile and 8 did him no favors here, but they went too fast for him early in this race. He could not keep up.
I thought War Story ran a pretty game effort to finish 5th in here because he was kind of up close to that pace, and Antonio Gallardo gave the horse a really wise ride, dropped him down towards the inside entering the turn, was trying simply to get a piece. He was very tired, and understandably so. He's not this level of horse, but there are races for him. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive the ownership gets again.
Yeah, the interesting thing now is, okay, he won that Queens County. He ran well enough here. There's a part of me that still doesn't know what his game really is. Is he
a graded stakes caliber horse?
He may be. I don't know that he's a grade 1 runner. I think maybe a grade 2 or a grade 3 depending on the field, but I don't know if he's truly a mile and an 8th horse. I don't know if he would do better with a turn back. If you want to keep him at Gulfstream, maybe the Gulfstream Park Handicap, a 1-turn mile. If you want to try somewhere else, maybe Oaklawn. I don't know. I don't know where he fits, but he ran well here.
But at the end of the day, it was a one-horse race under the wire. Arrogate, 116 Beyer speed figure. California Chrome, we wish him best in his stud career, but boy, Arrogate leaves us wanting more and more because this horse, as Mike said, an uncommon talent.